Welcome to the Serial Killers Thrillers radio station. Yes, this radio station is dedicated to serial killers, the story. And no, it's not to aggrandise the crime they committed or the individuals that committed the crime. And now, I am your host, and no, I won't be mentioning my name. I'm anonymous. Anyway, that out of the road, yes, I have an accent, I'm African. And that out of the road, I hope you are open-minded and you're ready to listen. And these stories coming out from the serial killers thrillers are one of the craziest story, I must say. No doubt they're one of the craziest story. There are a lot of tragic events coming up, and stay tuned anyway. And now to dive right in and tell you about the first story. The first story is the ghost killer. The Ghost Killer. Oh my God. Why that name? What does it mean? Does he kill ghosts? Was that what made him a serial killer? No. He kills people. And I'll tell you how it was known he was an E. I'll tell you all that, and I'll tell you about everything you need to know. This is the pilot episode, so bear with me. I'll give you a brief description of the ghost killer, and then tell you the people involved. And for dramatic purposes, the names used are funny. Anyway, now diving straight in. Who's the ghost killer? Now, the ghost killer is from New Zealand, according to research and investigation done by the police. In New Zealand, the ghost killer is from New Zealand, and the reason it's called the ghost killer is because no one knows his face. And it was actually named the ghost killer not in New Zealand but in Scotland, after he carried out another same MO and signature type of kill in a small town called Dufftown. He usually go and attack, do his crime, not go and attack. He usually commits his crime in small towns, and it's according to the BAU, the Behavior Analysis Unit, the FBI, who got involved because the last killings were occurring in America in a small town too. According to them, he commits his crime in a small town. It was between 500 and 2,000 people, and so the papers gave him the name the Ghost Killer. So, but in NZ, I know I said they don't know his face. They didn't see his face, and that's why they called him the Ghost Killer. But in Scotland, it was known as James Fanny. Yeah, James Fanny. Fanny like Fanny. And you must be wondering why was he known as James Fanny. Now, James Fanny was never found. I'll tell you how that came to be. James Fanny was never found. He was reported of a particular crime, and that type of crime is, according to America, is called B&E. Breaking and entering, I think it's everywhere actually, not just in America, but the way it was classified. I'm using the terms they use when doing investigation. So breaking and entering, I don't know, maybe they use it in other places. Anyway, back to the story. So the ghost killer literally was called the ghost killer because no one knew his face. No one saw his face. He always came out as a shadow in the dark. He destroys the lights in the house, and then come out and make sure you can see him, but in a kind of shadowy way. He looks male, according to the victims, before they became a victim. That was before they died, but after they reported the crime. So now, the ghost killer. Who is the ghost killer? Why did they think it's James Fanny? So there was a detective that was first in charge of the case, Detective Isla Meyer. So Detective Isla Meyer was the first officer in New Zealand, in Riverton, that was first in charge of this case. So a lady, Jane Dove, that's her name. Like I said, for dramatic purposes, Jane Dove, the alleged first victim, reported James Fanny for breaking and entering. He said, I walked into my home and I turned on the living room light, the kitchen light, and the hallway light. And all of a sudden, the hallway light was destroyed. I don't know how. I didn't see the person, but it was destroyed. And then the kitchen light was destroyed, and then I went straight into the living room because I was panicky. I was scared now because I could hear the sound of someone breaking the light bulbs, destroying it. And then I got scared and I ran into the living room. And then after running into the living room, I saw a shadow walking towards me, but he came out of the light and I saw it was James Fanny. And then I started screaming, I started scolding him. I was speaking, like commanding him to leave, ordering him to leave my apartment, like to leave. Why are you here? Why did you come in? Like, what is wrong with you? You scared me. At that moment, she wasn't scared because now she knows the person, James Fanny. And then when she turned around, he gave her a big blow to the head. And then she said she was unconscious until the next day. And when she was asked, like, until the next day, right? Anyway, until the next day, she went to the police station the next day. Yeah, so when she was asked around what time, she said between 10 and 11 p.m. That was when the incident happened. And she was terrified, I must add. So, and like I said, the police in charge, the detective in charge was Detective Alamaya. So Detective Alamaya took down a statement, but never officially put it in. She put it in the car because she knows James Fanny, a wonderful young boy, and so she drove to the home of the parents. This is what Jane Dove is saying about you, and she's going to press charges. And James denied everything, totally denied everything, said, I was never in a home. I have never actually been to our home, and we have never spoken before. Although we do know each other, but we have never said a word to each other. We've never spoken before. And she was very surprised, and she said, okay, I will have to bring you in for questioning, and I'll let you go. And remember, that was in the morning when this is happening, and she drove him to the police station. And when she drove him to the police station, she questioned him, and until the evening time between 5 and 6. And then she still haven't officially put anything down, and she was still holding the statement. She hadn't registered it. And then before she decided to drive James back home, she went to Detective Leo Wilson, who is currently telling the story to the BAU, the F Special Agents from the BAU, because now the killing is currently going on in the United States of America, and now they have to go back to the beginning of how it all happened. So now they brought in Detective Leo Wilson, the ex-boyfriend of Detective Alamaya, and now he's the one now telling the story now. So now let me not jump ahead of myself. Let me go back. But now Detective Leo Wilson is the one telling the story. So now Detective Alamaya went to her boyfriend under the police and say, this is what happened, and this is what happened, and that's what happened. And then he said, I'm driving him home. And she drove James Fanny home. But James Fanny never got home. Alamaya was never seen that day. She disappeared. Totally disappeared. Now, where is Jane Dove? Detective Leo Wilson decided to visit her. Couldn't find her at home. What's going on? A week passed. Jane Dove's body was found burned to ashes in the woods, like burned to crisp. Couldn't even identify the body, and then how did they know? They found a tooth, and that tooth was ID. It was almost impossible to ID it. Yeah, but it was ID'd, and they found that it was Jane Dove, and Detective Alamaya, and James Fanny was still missing. They haven't been seen. And then Detective Leo Wilson started doing his investigation, and then he decided to officially rewrite make a report of what Alamaya told her. He didn't have the statement that Jane Dove wrote, but he wrote his own statement and report, and this is what happened. And so the person of interest and the suspect was James Fanny. So now manhunt was sent out for James Fanny, and Detective Alamaya was also missing and was being looked for. And now, fast forward to 6 months later, they found a boat in the wood, ashes on the ground, still hot, in the woods on the ground, still hot. But according to the coroner, after investigation, that ashes was like from 6 months ago. It was like about 6 months ago. It was around the time Jane Doe died too. So which means Detective Alamaya was also one of the first victims, not just Jane Doe, because this was put down here after 6 months today, just to make it seem like it was just burned down to ashes, but they could tell that this was old, very old. So this is Detective Alamaya. The way they could identify it was because of the boots they found on the ground. They found the boot and ashes was in the boot. Like the boot was in the ashes, and they was able to ID it as Detective Alamaya. This is definitely a boot, because Detective Leo Wilson recognized it, and that was how they identified the body and decided it was Alamaya. And now confirmed that it was confirmed and determined. They came to a conclusion that James Fanny is a killer, not a serial killer yet, because he had only killed 2, right? So now there was a reward for whoever could tell the location or give information that would lead to the arrest of James Fanny, but James Fanny was never found. So 10 years later, fast forward to Dufftown, Scotland. Now, his MO and signature had evolved. Now, a man this time reported that someone destroyed his lights. 3 lights were turned on, just like Jane Doe did. The first light was destroyed, the second light was destroyed, but he never saw this person's face. So he had evolved. He knew how to stay in the dark. So he never saw this, and he was panicking. He turned around to run away, and he gave him a big blow in the head. The shadow, of course, the suspected killer. Now, he didn't kill. This is how he selected victim. Just put fear in them and let the world know that, yeah, I have picked this guy. Now, it wasn't known then in Dufftown. So after the first victim, so anyway, let me go back to the story. So a big blow to the head. The man was unconscious. He was unconscious till the next morning, and then immediately when he woke up, he ran out of the house, went straight down to the police station to report the case. And this is in Scotland, a small town, Dufftown, with about 700 people. And so after reporting the crime, the police was like, okay. He also went straight to the station, to the hospital. Sorry, to the hospital to get tested, to check up on himself, on all that. And then they found a drug in him. Like I said, the MO evolved. Now they found a drug in him. That drug was used to sedate him so he could stay unconscious until the next morning. Now, after he also reported, now he went back to the police station and gave them this clue, like, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. And they said, okay, we'll do all we can do to find this person. Did you see a face? He said, no, I didn't see a face. I could only see a shadow, a form. It was like a man. It was like, oh, okay. They took note of that. And then a week later, he died. He was burned to ashes again. That's his signature. He was burned to ashes. Now, Detective Lou, it was a crazy type of death. But they couldn't ID the body, of course. So they didn't actually know if it was the man that reported the case. They never knew. Now, Detective Leo Wilson got a hold of a paper in New Zealand that talked about the horrible tragedy, the death of someone that the Scotland police couldn't identify. So since that moment, it sounded like Detective Wilson never gave up on the case, although he was retired at the time, but he never gave up. So at that moment, Detective Wilson picked up his phone and called to try to get in touch with the Scotland Police Department. You know, the Dufftown Police Department, you know, the police in charge of the small town, Dufftown, but he couldn't. He called and called and called, but he couldn't. They wouldn't speak to him. Who are you? A retired police. I think this cases might be aligned. Might be I want to talk to someone. They say, okay, we'll call you back, but never called. And not after the second kill, the second death. I did mention that Detective Wilson was dating Detective Alamaya, and that's why he never let it go. So not after the second death, Detective Wilson decided to go to Scotland, Dufftown, and then he went there, and then he was like, I must talk to someone. I know who the killer is, and they gave him a chance, and he explained everything, and the MO was the same, the signature was the same, and now he had evolved. He had become a professional. He was better, and he said, James Fanny is the killer, definitely the killer. And they were like, okay, we hear you. We'll do our investigation. And they said, does he use a drug? Well, no. I think Jane Dove was the first kill, and Alamaya was the second, or Alamaya was the first, and Jane Dove was the second. They both one of the first victim of this killer, and now he's become a serial killer. And now the media was now decided after the second killer, they're going to call him the ghost killer, and that's how he became the ghost killer, the shadow guy that no one ever see, because it was like a ghost that comes at night, destroy the entire lights just to kill. He operates in the dark. So Detective Wilson was so sure it was James Fanny. The Scotland Police Department, after hearing the story and seeing what happened, they decided it was him. He moved, he ran away into Scotland somewhere they would never have thought about. And yeah, so crazy story was that only 2 people had died. Now there was a wild detective Wilson, and we're going through the file and everything and trying to figure out. Someone came in to make another report. The last report, like not the last report, like the last report. I mean, the last person to come in for the day. It was like the last and final report for the day that they would take, and that was from a lady. This time was a lady, though. It is also important to mention the second person that died was a lady, and this guy does not have a type. This ghost killer does not have a type. It doesn't matter if it's a lady or a man. Now, the second person that died, the first person that died in Dufftown was a man. The second person was a lady. Now the third person making the same type of report about someone banging down the head, breaking in and entering into an apartment, destroying the light bulbs, and then she woke up the next morning, and then she didn't come straight to the police station. She had to go to the hospital. She was treated and checked for concussion, like all that, just make sure she was all right. And then they found a drug in there that not only paralyzed her, but she made her unconscious until the next day when she woke up, and now she's gone. And now she went to the hospital to get checked up. She went to the doctor to get checked up, and now she's coming to the police station to report a crime. And immediately they were like, oh my God, he's about to kill the third person here in Dufftown. And I think you should stick around for episode 2 if you want to find out what really happened. Because I want to find out what happened. I mean, I know what happened, but you should stick around and find out what happened. So I'll be talking about episode 2 next week, about what happened to the third victim in Dufftown. Because, mind you, I did say the killing is currently going on right now in America, in Minnesota, a small town called Lanesboro. So stay tuned to know what happened. Anyway, logging out.